It's said that secrets are never truly hidden, especially when they're on reality TV. Even the cast of Love and Hip Hop appears shaken by the frenzied murmurs that are currently circulating the streets. Reports that Kendra Robinson may have just released the type of video that causes publicists to resign and couples to fall apart are spreading quickly. Rumors that are circulating behind the scenes claim that Kendra obtained a hotel security camera. In it, a lady who is allegedly Kirk Frost's secretary is seen rushing out of his hotel room in the early morning, looking agitated and unkempt, as if she had seen a ghost or worse. Rasheeda pull up. Now, this is where reality sets in. Sloppy. Kendra's camera roll wasn't the only place this purported footage ended up. It reportedly reached VH1 producers. And during filming, Kendra presented it to Rasheeda, if reports are to be believed. What came next? On set, Rasheeda left. Just emotion, no cameras, no script, no justification. Fans are forced to wonder what else might be concealed by the Frost brand image. What actually took place in that hotel room then? And why has Kendra decided to let this bomb go off, remain locked in? We're dissecting all of the statements made. For weeks, the tension on set had been building. Kendra had changed in behavior, becoming quieter and more calculating, according to those close to her. She wasn't yelling like she used to, crying in front of the camera, or clapping back in group shots. On the contrary, she was listening, watching, and according to sources, gathering information, receipts, and the kind of video that alters stories. Nobody anticipated that she would attack when the cameras were rolling and everyone was on alert. Down, according to them. It began with a tape at an Atlanta studio lounge where the majority of the cast had assembled for what was meant to be a laid-back filming. A brief scene with Jock, Rasheeda, Kirk, and a few other people checking in. Everything was going well until Kendra entered the room with her phone in her hand as if she had something important to say. She simply stood there without smiling or taking a seat. The joke gave her the apprehensive laugh he gives when he senses a downward spiral. Kirk appeared perplexed. However, the instant their eyes locked, Rasheeda became icy. Kendra wasted no time. She gazed straight at real calm. "Are you sure you want to keep protecting him?" Rasheeda asked as the room fell silent. The producers froze too. Kirk said something about not causing needless drama as he attempted to laugh it off. But Kendra remained unfazed. "Can y'all play something for me real quick?" she asked the team, turning to them. The sound tech paused, but it seems she had already given the file to the producers earlier that morning. It was ready and in line, the video started playing on the monitor they were using for playback in a matter of seconds. It was time-stamped, blurry CCTV film from a hotel corridor taken around 3 weeks prior. In the video, Kirk and a woman who appeared to be quite familiar were seen strolling down a hallway late at night. Even though the lighting wasn't ideal, she could be identified by her hair, her walk, and the large hoodie bearing the Frost emblem. It was Kirk's helper, the one Rasheeda had introduced in season 12. The one who never spoke much, always remained in the background, and always appeared a bit too at ease with Kirk. The door closes as Kirk and the helper enter the hotel room. In the video, time flies by. The door flies open once more at around 6 in the morning. It's just the helper this time. Her purse is slipping off her shoulder, and she is barefoot and holding her heels in one hand. She appears to be in a panic, as if she's rushing or escaping something. She is pushing her hoodie up to conceal her face while her wig slides. The clip ends as she vanishes down the hallway. There was silence back on set. Kirk's cheeks flushed. Joke stirred uneasily in his seat. Rasheeda appeared to be holding her. "Take a breath." There was a heavy, dense silence that seemed to be carrying something. Rasheeda rose at last. She didn't cry or shout. Kirk stumbled, trying to add something about it being taken out of context. But the damage was already done when she simply responded, "You said you were in Miami for a meeting." Everyone was in a state of shock when Rasheeda left the set. Kirk yelled at Kendra before following her out the door. He mumbled, "You didn't have to do it like that," in an attempt to sound calm. Jock remained behind, massaging his face as if he had a headache. To which Kendra replied, "No, I didn't, but I wanted to make sure you didn't lie to her face again." He was correct when he predicted that things would become chaotic. The private nature of that footage was short-lived. Within a day, it was leaked by someone on set. It first circulated in group chats before making its way to a gossip blog in the morning. Fans were analyzing every frame in a matter of hours. Did the assistant actually run? Was Kirk? In the instant the door opened, were you shirtless? Oh. The Frost family's secret merchandise drop included the Frost insignia hoodie. Why was it on her? The internet took off. Initially, Rasheeda didn't reply to the video, but that same day she unfollowed Kirk on Instagram. Fans noticed right away. She deleted a number of recent posts that featured him in less than 2 days. Deals with brands associated with the Frost couple began to wane. One sponsor of hair care completely halted their advertising. The empire of Frost was trembling. Kirk made an effort to polish the story. In an ambiguous Instagram story, he discussed forgiveness, treachery, and not believing everything you see. It was ineffective. The remarks were harsh. Kendra was being tagged by people who wanted to see the entire video. Others pleaded with Rasheeda to stand up, to leave, to stop shielding someone who obviously didn't value her. However, the assistant's silence was what truly stopped spectators cold. She didn't refute it, defend herself, or publish anything. Her page was sent. Insiders and private sources said she had ceased going to work. She suffered a breakdown, according to some. She was being paid to keep silent, according to others. Kendra, too, kept to herself. Too silent. People began to question how Kendra obtained the video in the first place. At that point, the second bombshell was revealed. Kendra didn't just stumble upon it. A close acquaintance of Kendra informed a gossip website. Someone tipped her off. It seems that a hotel worker who enjoyed hip-hop and love upon checking in. They recognized Kirk and the assistant. She had a sneaking suspicion that something wasn't right. She contacted Kendra anonymously after seeing her previous posts disparaging the Frost family. "I don't want money," she said. All she wanted was for the truth to be revealed. Kendra initially remained silent, but she thought it was time when she watched Kirk and Rasheeda appear to be fine again on video. She obtained the video, checked the assistant location tags from that weekend, and confirmed the time and date. Everything was in order, and she waited. She picked up that tape and waited for the ideal opportunity to drop it. Several cast members began to distance themselves from Kirk once the video was made public. In his subsequent scene with his pal, even Jock, who had consistently stood up for him, was uneasy. Off camera, he informed producers that Kirk should take care of his home before attempting to be in charge of anything. Rasheeda, meanwhile, declined to work with Kirk on the movie for a full 2 weeks. The consequences were severe. Polls on fan pages asked whether Rasheeda should break up with him. Kirk was criticized by blogs for being untidy and rude. And Kendra was getting kudos for speaking up at last. She was now referred to as the cast's most genuine by fans who had previously criticized her for being too meek. She also didn't gloat, post, or say anything. She simply let the video do the talking. Behind the scenes, however, everyone understood that this was not the end. Not even close. The entire cast group chat was in disarray the morning after the video was leaked. The cast were constantly messaging, with some inquiring as to whether it was authentic, with some people requesting to know who sent it to the sites. It was too late for the producers, who were frantically trying to keep the story in check. The story was on its own. Kirk and Rasheeda had attempted to defend themselves, but Kendra's silence spoke more than anything she had openly stated. As this was going on, fans were deluging each cast member's page with comments, requesting confirmations, reactions, and additional information. On the night the video was shown, Rasheeda hadn't gone home. According to insiders, she immediately went to her mother's house and switched off her phone for the next 24 hours. *hours. However, Kirk was allegedly blowing up her phone, sending texts, leaving voicemails, and even attempting to get in touch with her through friends they had in common. The humiliation was too great. Not only was he caught cheating, he was ensnared in a manner that prevented him from spinning. The time-stamped video, the hoodie, and the assistant fleeing the room all shouted guilt. Tita wasn't attempting to correct anything either. For once, Kendra stayed composed while Kirk went into a panic. She arrived for her planned taping with her hair styled, her face completely covered in makeup, and not a single her voice cracked. Her simple response to the producer's question about what else she had to say was enough to shake the room. "I think people are starting to see what I've seen all along." Scott kept a tight eye on her. He had lost the silly energy he usually had. He appeared to be a man who understood that his whole basis might also collapse. The company arranged for Kendra and Joe's to have a private scene at a tiny midtown restaurant later that week. Silently, the cameras moved in an attempt to capture in a moment of emotion. Sitting calmly across from him, Kendra stirred her drink. Joseph appeared anxious. Softly at first, he inquired about her well-being. She gave a nod. She then asked him, "How long have you known?" without raising his head, and he froze. Didn't respond immediately. Kendra looked at him for a long time before he finally responded. "I didn't know for sure, just had a feeling. Something was off." "Kirk and you have been friends for more than joke." Didn't lie when she said, "You're telling me he never slipped, never bragged, never let anything slip about her?" 10 years. He acknowledged that Kirk had previously made reference to the assistant, but not specifically. He claimed that it was always insignificant things, such as overly specific praises, illogical travel, and meetings that didn't fit the schedule. He went on to say, "I didn't think it was serious." Kendra leaned back and remarked, "I thought maybe he was just being Kirk." Being Kirk is the issue. Following the airing of that scene, fans accused Jock of not letting his wife know sooner. However, the assistant's first public appearance was what truly ignited social media. She didn't go live or post a message. She recently shared an old selfie that she took inside the same hotel where the video was shot on Instagram. "You're only sorry because you got caught," she said as the caption. The story was widely circulated in a matter of minutes. She was wearing the same hoodie as shown in the CCTV video, fans pointed out when they zoomed in. It was brazen, it was petty, and it was indisputable. The helper had come out of hiding. She appeared to be prepared for her moment, if anything. The bloggers devoured it. One website even compared the picture and her leave video side by side, referring to it as the walk of shame that broke the Frost brand. Despite Kirk's lack of response, his staff swiftly removed any promotional posts that included him and the assistant. Rasheeda didn't log on. Upon her eventual return, she posted in black and white with the words, "Healing in private. Please, respect my space." The comments were a battleground. Some encouraged her and told her to leave. She was accused by others of fabricating a different plot point. Some even accused her of constantly forgiving him. However, none of them were aware that Rasheeda wasn't primarily concerned with forgiveness in the background. Her brand protection was her first priority. According to family-friendly sources, Rasheeda was discussing with her business associates the possibility of distancing her image from Kirk's in all upcoming promotions. She and her legal team had already begun going over the paperwork. It was an obvious message. She wasn't allowing his mess to impact her, whether she remained in the marriage or not. Kendra, however, was moving in a different way. She had no desire to be separated. She wanted to get noticed, complete visibility. When a producer revealed that Kendra had more than just the hotel footage, it was yet another shocking revelation. She allegedly had audio recordings of Kirk and the assistant's discussions, as well as screenshots and texts. Some were more than a year old. according to the producer. Kendra was thinking about giving the remainder to VH1 if she thought Kirk and Rasheeda were attempting to manipulate the story against her. Apparently, there were more people involved besides the assistant. There were rumors that Kendra had dirt on several actors who were filling in for Kirk, according to reports. At least 2 persons were aware of the hotel meeting but remained silent. According to reports, one of them was a junior producer who had assisted in getting Kirk a ride that weekend. The other was a makeup artist who collaborated with the assistant and Rasheeda. Fans couldn't get enough of it, and the messier it got, the more people looked. Interviews began to appear. Former VH1 employees were asked to share behind-the-scenes information on podcasts. How this tape came out, how long it had been hidden, and how many people were actually involved were all questions that everyone wanted to know. Some conjectured that Kendra had spent months organizing the release. Others said it was a decision made at the last minute following a furious dispute with Jock. She had altered the game, though, for whatever reason. Kendra did not have to shout. There was no reason for her to struggle. She only needed to press play to send the entire franchise into a tailspin. The video revealed the flaws in every relationship surrounding Kirk in addition to his disaster. Jock's hesitancy, Rasheeda's silence, and the assistant's arrogant response all conveyed more than words could, and supporters were beginning to take sides. Others supported Kendra, referring to her as the show's realism. Others stood up for Rasheeda, arguing that she wasn't deserving of humiliation. Additionally, a small but vocal faction claimed that the entire situation was really another VH1 setup. However, whether it was fake or real, one thing was evident. The damage was already done. Alliances were dissolving, reputations were changing. And the Frost name, once associated with hip-hop loyalty and love, was now at the heart of an unanticipated scandal. Or perhaps they did. Perhaps everyone simply ignored them until Kendra made sure they couldn't. The drama continued as the days went by. It got deeper. Fans were analyzing every detail, contrasting recent sequences in which Rasheeda's quiet spoke louder than any staged confrontation with older clips in which she backed Kirk Kendra's part in Everywhere. People were debating the turmoil. Was she resentful? Was she a genius? Or had she simply stopped being silent? Although none of the actors had commented in public, the atmosphere on set had radically changed. People's speech was different. Their jokes weren't the same. Longer eyes lingered. There was no longer any trust. The production called a mandatory cast meeting at a rented house outside of Atlanta in an attempt to reorganize. Everyone knew it was a cleanup session, even though they said it was for a healing circle. The idea was to try to fix the cameras by getting everyone together for a sit-down. However, you could feel the room tense as soon as Kendra entered. Her purpose was not to recover. She had come to complete what she had begun. Rasheeda also appeared, wearing no makeup, huge sunglasses, and a black outfit. Her nonverbal cues were quite clear. Even though she didn't want to be there, she wasn't going to let Kendra take whole control of the story. Kirk was sitting already, observing he was tired and a lot older than he had been a week before. Jug tapped uncomfortably on the chair's armrest while seated close to the back. Kendra didn't even glance at Kirk as she entered. She and Rasheeda looked at each other, and they talked for the first time since the video was leaked. "You should have told me," Rasheeda remarked. She didn't break her voice. She was frigid but not sentimental. Kendra's head cocked. "You were informed that either your husband had lied once more, or that your eye would have handled it differently. Privately. But now you've made a mess, and you dragged me into it." Kendra didn't flinch. "Your husband dragged you. I just showed you the route he took." The room fell silent. Rasheeda took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were red and tired, but focused. All of a sudden, everything came crashing down. Kirk got up and attempted to interrupt, saying that they all needed to stop stoking drama and look at the wider picture, but nobody was listening. Kendra blinked slowly before responding calmly, because I was tired of protecting people who wouldn't protect me. Because y'all whispered about me, judged me, and told Jock I was cold and that I wasn't wife material. Rasheeda leaned forward and asked the one question that hadn't been asked directly on camera yet. Why now? Gasps echoed through the room. As your husband was having an affair with a girl who refilled your lash glue while you were saying that. Even production didn't see that one coming. The producers tried to stop her, but she slid it across the table anyway. Texts, call logs, photos. Anyone wants to know how deep this went? It's all there. Just so no one calls me a liar. Kirk looked like he was about to blow up. This isn't how we do things, he snapped. Kendra smirked. Then maybe you should have stayed out of this. The assistant's name hadn't been mentioned aloud until that point. Hotel rooms you shouldn't have been in. Rasheeda got up and left again, but she didn't return. A few minutes later, Jock, who was clearly upset, followed her out, catching up to her by the van and attempting to calm her down. She's doing all this to hurt me, he said. This is about us, not you. Slowly, Rasheeda spun around and said, No, Jock. The instant you watched that video and said nothing to me, this ceased to be about you. He was stunned. In an attempt to refocus the energy, producers pulled Kendra aside and asked if she would be willing to do a private confessional to further explain her side. She agreed, and she sat down with the microphone on, her eyes clear and her voice calm. I knew about the assistant for months, she admitted. I saw the signs, the way Kirk acted when she was around, the way Rasheeda looked the other way, but I never said anything because I didn't want to be the villain again. The irate black woman, the bitter wife. After the estate scene, filming was halted for 3 days, not due to scheduling, but because VH1 Legal intervened. The assistant was reportedly threatening legal action if more footage was aired, but Kendra had covered herself. She obtained the video from a third party. She never mentioned the assistant's name or made any accusations. She simply said, I realized that they were never going to hold it together for me. That clip became the most watched confessional of the season. Her brand was her lifeline, and for once, she didn't know how to turn around. Kirk attempted to do damage control as well, offering to sit down with both Rasheeda and Kendra. However, Rasheeda was in a downward spiral and her team had to step in and start damage control. Some of her endorsement deals were pushing for clarity, and sponsors didn't want to be associated with scandal, especially not one that involved cheating, assistants, and surveillance tapes. Jock, on the other hand, found himself in an impossible situation. He loved Kendra. He respected Rasheeda. Kirk was like a brother. He thought he could charm his way out like before, play the card of the black man making mistakes, and rely on his years in the game. However, this time, the footage didn't lie, and neither did the silence of those around him. Kendra declined. Rasheeda didn't respond at all. The fracture was deeper than he had anticipated. But after everything was said and done, he came to the realization that remaining neutral equated to complicity. In a private conversation with production, he acknowledged that he wished he had done more or said anything. But he was afraid, fearful of losing his friend, his reputation, and his marriage. And now he might lose it all anyhow. The assistant never spoke on camera again and disappeared from the show, social media, and everything else. Some claimed she moved back. No one could verify, and to be honest, nobody really cared anymore. The damage was done, and the person in charge now wasn't Kirk or Rasheeda, but rather the woman they underestimated the most, Kendra. Quiet, precise, brutal with the truth, and for once totally in control. Others said Kirk paid her to remain silent, and some insiders even claimed Rasheeda gave her hush money to make the story go away faster. The next week, the atmosphere was sharper and colder. There were no more jokes between takes, no fake hugs for the camera, and no pretending that this was just TV. Everyone sensed that something had changed in the hip-hop and love world. Kendra had revealed a power dynamic that had been simmering behind the scenes for years. And now that it was out, there was no turning back. Producers called for one last group scene to try to wrap up the plot, but this wasn't about finding a solution. It was about capturing the fallout. Was summoned to a sit-down in a dimly lit lounge that was set up with candles and soft music, but the tension was electric. Kendra arrived first, wearing a calm shade of beige, without any flair or accessories, as if she had nothing left to prove. Rasheeda then entered, still not talking to Kirk, and still wearing her armor of silence. Kirk followed, clearly tense, and Joke entered last, his shoulders heavy, not sure where he stood in any of it anymore. The conversation began stiffly with forced greetings and awkward eye contact, and producers attempted to prompt them. The subject, Kirk said, "I know I made mistakes," after clearing his throat and turning to face Rasheeda and then Kendra. "I've acknowledged it, but this wasn't the appropriate approach." "Do you mean demonstrating proof?" Kendra blinked slowly. "Wasn't it that way?" Kirk shook his head. "No, you embarrassed everyone by letting it out that way." At last, Rasheeda said, "No, Kirk, you made everyone look bad." She merely ensured that we noticed it. Kirk didn't argue for the first time. All he did was look at the table. Kendra leaned a little forward. "I didn't mean to ruin anyone. I took action because I remained silent for too long while you laughed behind my back. I watched as you all questioned my loyalty, my love, and my reputation. Your dude was out here creating brand new episodes without a script in the meanwhile." Joe softly interrupted. "We could have done this differently, Ken. Could we?" Kendra answered, "So I gave it a try. I didn't trust Kirk. I told you. There were signs. I told you. And you told me to quit behaving paranoid, to relax, and to have faith in the process. Look where we are now." The reality was stark and unambiguous. There was no shouting or reversing of roles. Rasheeda lowered her voice and turned to Kendra. "Now what?" Kendra gave her a look. Gave her a serious look. "Okay. I'm not out to destroy you. Your marriage is not something I want. Okay. Your brand is not what I desire. I desired my respect. And now that I understand, it is up to you what you do next." Rasheeda remained silent. She merely gave a nod, a painful, sluggish nod. "You don't agree, but you understand." That's how the producers concluded the scenario. It was heavy and honest and raw. However, it wasn't the end. The silence of the assistant persisted in the weeks that followed. The lodging establishment refused to remark, but online screenshots of the reservation, the check-in time, and the staff message continued to circulate. Fans continued to quarrel in the comments. Kendra is being referred to as forceful by some and messy by others. However, the fact that the dynamic had changed was no longer disputed. Overnight, Kendra gained popularity among fans. She dared to hold individuals accountable in a room full of brand-protecting energy. Not because she was the loudest person. Social internet was ablaze with videos showing her gently shutting down Rasheeda. Calling out Kirk and calling out Jock timelines were overrun with reaction videos. Those who used to ignore her scenes now dubbed her the show's most genuine cast member. Kirk and Rasheeda took a break from filming for a bit. According to insiders behind the scenes, their marriage struck yet another snag. Few said they were receiving therapy. According to some, Rasheeda temporarily relocated into a separate home. Kirk said nothing, but his reputation suffered. Sponsorships withdrew. Couple of his speaking engagements were lost. And rumors about the videos circulated wherever he went. Joke and Kendra remained far away, not exactly apart, but also not comfortable. There was more to the cheating scandal that Kendra had revealed. She revealed how women were expected to be faithful, although this was rarely the case. This time, Jock didn't cheat, but he didn't say anything when he ought to have. And no falsehood was heard more loudly than that stillness. Kendra sat down by herself for one of the season's last interviews. There was only her and a camera. No makeup or elaborate lighting. She said, "I'm not perfect. Should have left, but I stayed. I've grinned. Moment I felt like screaming. I've been described as too quiet, too much chilly and bitter. I didn't lie though. People don't understand that women tend to be dramatic when they speak up. Silence is a sign of fakery. However, the truth doesn't require an advocate, only requires a moment. Once more, the video went viral. Season was over in an instant, with a shift instead of a struggle. A silent, irrefutable change in the power structure. And it wasn't Kirk this time. Rasheeda wasn't the one. And it was definitely not Jock. Kendra was the one. She simply pressed the play button. Fans are therefore asking the same question now that the video, the backlash, the quiet, and the aftermath are all in the public domain. What follows? Will Rasheeda go for good at last? Is Kirk ever going to come clean? Is the assistant truly gone? Or is she merely anticipating her own reunion? What about Kendra? Was this the beginning of a new, non-playing nice version of herself? Or was this her breaking point? Hip-hop and love will never be the same again. That much is certain. Alliances have changed, trust has been broken, and the quietest woman in the room has just demonstrated that she has the most power. This is more than simply a cheating story. It's about control, respect, and the consequences of giving the wrong individuals too many opportunities. It's your time now, though. How do you feel about the whole thing? Do you think Kendra had the right to release that video? Was Rasheeda simply in denial, or was she taken by surprise? And do you believe that Kirk and Jock ever told the women, who had been keeping them down for years, the truth? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. We would want to speak with you. Every viewpoint, hypothesis, and argument. If you watched this video through to the end, don't forget to like it. For more analyses of wild reality TV, subscribe. To ensure you don't miss the next controversy, leak, or thrilling reunion, turn on that bell. Because if we've learned anything from this season, it's that the truth isn't always captured by the cameras. But it will undoubtedly be someone's phone.